Let's talk about the configuration folder and the configuration files folder that I just highlighted and that I just expanded here. So as you can see, we have three configuration files, or CUF files as we call them. And essentially, we are going to be working with the development CUF file only in this training. And in addition to the development CUF file, we also have the production and the test CUF files available to us. Now, the whole idea behind these CUF files is that you can design, you can create and deploy your staging database and the data warehouse first in development environment, then test and production environment as last. So we got the three environments that we can deploy our staging database and data warehouse. And we are going to talk about the test and production CUF files later on. And we are also going to talk about the fact that we can create as many CUF files we need to. But for now, let's just focus in the development CUF file here. So I'm going to open this development CUF file, and let me explain you how it works and what we have to do here. On the Connections tab, basically this is where we define the server name or SQL instance name in which we are going to deploy our staging database and data warehouse. Let's take a look and define the connection string for our staging database first by clicking on Configure. So right here we have to type the name of our server name. In my case, my server name is called Gang Hands-On /DW. In your case, I don't know what's your server name, so put your server name right here. The next thing we gotta decide is whether we are going to use Windows Authentication or SQL Authentication. In my case, I'm going to stick with Windows Authentication as it is now, and I needed to enter the name of my staging database right here. And I will leave as it is now, demodulo_staging. You can name your staging database whatever you like here. Now, if you recall, I called my Demodulo solution and project Demodulo. So the Modulo Architect by default picks up the name of your solution, and it gives your staging database the same name as the solution. And in addition to that, it adds the _staging extension to it. And by the way, the same applies to the data warehouse, which we are going to see in a minute. But again, feel free to name your staging database here whatever you like. Now, if I click on Test Connection, that is going to fail. And that is because the Demodulo_staging database still wasn't deployed in the server or SQL instance, if you will. So I first needed to generate and deploy both the staging and data warehouse to the server, which I'm going to do later on. Let me skip the persisted layer, because that is a feature we are currently working on, and when it will be available, I might update this video to reflect this feature. So let's configure the connection string for our data warehouse, which is pretty much the same way I configured for our staging database. And for simplicity's sake, I will deploy my data warehouse in the same server I will be deploying the staging database. And by the way, you sure can deploy your staging database and the data warehouse in separate servers if you need to. So I'm gonna stick to Windows Authentication as it is here, and the name of my data warehouse will be Demodulo_warehouse, but feel free to name your data warehouse whatever you like there on your end. Now, early on, I mentioned that the Modulo Architect will automate and create all SSIS tasks on the fly without manual intervention. So this is the location where all SSIS packages will be deployed. And we definitely can change this location where the packages will be deployed if necessary. But you have to remember that if you want your SSIS packages deployed to a network share, as example, then you need to have permissions in that network share. And the share also needs to have the right permissions if you're going to do that across servers. OLAP connection string is beyond the scope of this training, and the connection strings here at the bottom will make sense when we start creating our connections to data sources. Okay folks, see you in the next video.